They're going to be leaving Patrick Queen and Jacob Phillips, both the linebackers. I was a little surprised more by Queen, and I think from an NFL scout standpoint, it's really good on the last thing that you've seen on a prospect, and the last thing that you've seen on Patrick Queen is that he was the best defensive player on the national championship field, flying around sideline to sideline and was a tackling machine. So I think he had the ability personally to improve his stock if he was to come back for a senior season and maybe improve from a second, third round grade up to a first round grade. But hey, man, now's his time. And who's to say he can't get to a testing combine and just jump off the charts? Because if you remember him coming out of Livonia High School, he was very comparable to Devin White in the sense that both those guys were tailbacks coming out. They were recruited as running backs from the majority of the schools that were after them. Queen was a guy that LSU thought could have a chance to play offense, but really looked at him as a defender. And once he got here, man, he flourished. And it kind of all culminated on Monday night with him just
not even a starter, not even a starter entering the year, either, which is a testament to how hard he worked. Him and we covered it through the year, but him kind of just putting his head down instead of getting upset and going to the transfer portal. He went to the coach's office and he said, "What do I need to do? Where can I improve?" And he did that, and he improved. And as Jordy said, I think that his speed is the most attractive part about him, especially when you look at like what the NFL wants in the modern linebacker. Queen seems to have that. And so, yeah, in a combine testing situation, I imagine he'll help his stock even more. And look, if you're any of these guys, the only question that you have to answer is, am I pleased with where my projected draft grade is? And if you are pleased, then you go. Because, I mean, what else do you have left to accomplish in college, right? That's why you see these exoduses a lot of times after a major national championship, is simply because you have reached the mountaintop. And so a lot of times it's like, okay, I just want to go start making money, right? And maybe it's not worth coming back to try to bump up from a second round to the first round, or maybe it is. But as I said, that's the only question. There's no, I think we can be really good next year and I want to see what we can do. No, you just put together the greatest resume in college football history.
Absolutely. And let me say this. We say this every year at this time. I've got no right to tell any of these guys where they should and shouldn't go, and if they should go and not come back. I'm just giving my personal opinion when talking about guys that could be evaluated to make a higher grade, but I am all in support of getting reps and getting paid, right? Free reps don't make a lot of sense for a football player. So if Patrick Queen sees the opportunity to get to the league and play football for money, go get it, man.
Yeah, or you come back here and you just invite Odell to a couple more games. I mean, you'd be straight and get taken care of there.
Saaq Charles announced that he's going to be leaving. That was surprising for me.
Again, is he happy with where his draft grade projects? And even if that is, I don't know exactly where Saaq is projected right now. I do know this. He did not give up a single pressure in Monday night's national championships. You mentioned Queen.
He had a great game on Monday night.
You mentioned Queen putting on some great tape to end his career with. Saaq did as well. And so what's he going to do? Here's the deal. Even if you are a middle round pick, granted, the later you get, when you come out, the later you get in the draft, you are kind of betting on yourself because teams don't have nearly as much of a commitment to a fifth round pick as they do a second round pick, right? You can get cut much easier. That said, if you believe in yourself, you believe in your ability to make an NFL team, even making hundreds of thousands of dollars sounds great to what you're doing currently. So it's not always about just a big first round contract. It's about wanting to start in the next stage of your career. And that's where Saaq is at. And look, and when you're talking about Saaq, doesn't it make sense? You're talking about someone who had to miss multiple games because of,
He broke team rules.
Yeah, broke team rules, right? So maybe that's like some drug test, whatever. It doesn't matter. Stuff that you can do.
Read between the lines.
Pretty openly in the NFL, right? And so he went out on top, and it makes too much sense to me there as well.
So those are the names that decided to leave yesterday. Lloyd Cushenberry was also on that list.
Yep.
Who was,
and that's big.
Yeah, that's huge.
That hurt. Shout out to Lloyd though. He went from being the guy that we at the beginning. What a difference 2 years can make, right? At the beginning of last season, we assumed he was going to be the odd man out, that he would lose that starting role, and then he made himself into the leader of that group. last year, and then he brought that all to the next level this year.
Yeah, it was a stellar junior season for Lloyd Cushenberry, and really that offensive line who took home the Joe Moore Award. So a couple of offensive linemen, the linebackers, those are the names that announced on Wednesday that they were leaving LSU. I think the biggest hit of the guys early on that have announced is the middle of your defense, the linebackers, obviously losing Patrick Queen and Jacob Phillips. We'll talk a little bit more about the depth. You also got some news yesterday about some guys coming back, and there were two enormous names there in Jacoby Stevens and Tyler Shelvin. Those guys coming back really solidify the middle of your defense when you're talking about your nose tackle in Shelvin and the back end and the safety in Stevens. Those are two guys that had really good junior years, and they feel like could have dominant senior seasons.
Yeah, and Glenn Logan, I thought was undecided, but looking at his Twitter, he did tweet like, "Come on, nobody else leave," and he tweeted a screenshot of him texting Shelvin saying, "Don't leave me." So getting Logan back is you're going to be really good on the D-line next year. I mean, another year of Tyler Shelvin getting better in the offseason. Now that's someone who could make himself into a first-round pick. Apu Ika back for another year.
Don't forget you get
Logan
Justin Thomas
Farrell,
back.
So defensive line looks strong. That's why I actually think
you add Jaquelin Roy and Jacoby Guillory to that crew too.
Yeah, damn. Yeah, wow. Replacing linebackers, as you pointed out, that's going to be tough. But it's two guys. I love Damone Clark's potential. Yeah. They've loved Baskerville for a while now. I think maybe the biggest issue is going to be that offensive line because you're losing 4 of your 5.
Well, it is.
Or maybe you can call it like 3.5 with how Ed Ingram year went.
It's even more concerning when you start investigating and look at past recruiting class, specifically the class of 2018. Not only on the offensive line, but when you look at the offensive linemen in that class, Badara Traore, gone. Dar Rosenthal, guy needs to come on.
Yeah, and he did, and I actually liked Dar a lot in this situation. I think he vastly improved at left tackle, and now that he kind of knows he's first in line to replace Saaq Charles, so I like Rosenthal actually.
Chasen Hines,
is he the eventual Cushenberry replacement? It is what it feels like. It seems to be what they have been setting up for all season long. We didn't get a big look at him. He had all that potential freshman year flash. I mean, I'll never forget him being thrown into the fire against Auburn as a true freshman at Auburn, having to go up against that D-line, Marlon Davidson, and doing quite well. So we'll see. I guess because we got less eyes on him this year than a guy like Rosenthal, I'm maybe a bit less sure about him.
And you got Cam Wire in that class who's yet to log a quality rep. He's from East Ascension High School. He's still there. He's a tackle. And then Cole Smith, who was out of Mississippi, a center, who has since left the program. Damian Lewis was in that class. He's obviously gone and moving on to the NFL. But when you really look at that 2018 class as a whole, there's not a lot of guys that fill the gaps when you look at the guys that are heading out. I mean, Kelvin Joseph is in that class. He's not there. Trevez Moore is in that class. He's not there. Davin Cotton's in that class. He's no longer there. Keenan Jones is in that class. He's no longer there. I mean, Cole Smith, as we said, on the offensive line. So they're going to have to find some guys. LSU might start searching around that transfer portal to look at some guys that could come in and help with.
Well, they got a lot of spots left
with some of the names.
They got 6 spots left. It's not all bad. Getting Ed Ingram back is huge. Getting Ed Ingram back.
I think Deculus, you're kind of waiting on,
and Deculus, who I believe will return kind of secretly. You don't even realize it, but Deculus is like nearly started almost every game since he's been at LSU. I know. It's not to say he's always been the most dominant, but he has been a rock out there at right tackle. And you know what's way easier than replacing 2 tackles? Replacing 1. So I really hope that Deculus returns.